Hello everybody, welcome to episode 8 of the Coffee, Yarn, and Dinosaurs podcast. I'm really excited. It's been about 2 weeks on the nose this time, which means I'm getting back into a regular podcasting schedule, which is awesome. My name's Ruth. I am the designer behind Everyday Yarnworks knitting and crochet patterns. You can find me on just about everywhere on social media as Everyday Yarnworks, except on Ravelry, where I am Brash Elegance. Today is, I don't have my glasses on, I'm looking over at my calendar and I don't have my glasses on. Friday maybe the 18th or 15th of September, somewhere around there, whatever September weekend ends with a teen number or one of them. I am coming to you from my home in Philadelphia, where I live with my husband, my 2 sons, my brother-in-law, and soon my daughter. So first of all, welcome. Thank you for everyone who has subscribed and commented and come back. I really appreciate you guys. And for everyone who's new, hi, welcome. I'm glad you guys took a minute to check it out. So let's see, life. Past 2 weeks have been pretty normal past 2 weeks, you know, work, kids. Yesterday I had to take the stupid 3-hour glucose test for gestational diabetes because I failed the 1-hour one. So I'm waiting on results today and we'll see what happens. If I end up not passing that test either, I'm gonna have to do finger pricks 4 times a day, which is not fun when you knit. So I am hoping and praying that that test comes back negative. I'm just gonna jump right into knitting stuff. So I don't actually have a whole lot of finished objects today. I'm looking for one. I feel like I have one that I misplaced. Interesting. Ah, there it is. Got it. I moved one of my buckets to the floor so I could reach it better. So my first finished object is this Christmas stocking. And this is, I forget what the name of the pattern actually is, but it's for a knit along by Yuki Knits, which is Faye Kennington. Check this out. It's got little lovebirds on it. There you go. You can see them actually looking at each other there. So, funny story. It's a great pattern, by the way. It's knit like a toe-up sock with an afterthought heel, which obviously I have not blocked yet because if I had, the heel would not look like this. But it's knit like a toe-up sock with an afterthought heel. So by the time I got done with the foot part, I was feeling pretty confident because I've done toe-up socks with afterthought heels before. So I was like, I got this. Throw in the line for the heel. Good to go, keep going, whatever. And then when I got up to where you're supposed to put this little loopy on, because that's the beginning of the round, I realized that I was supposed to put the heel like a quarter of the way through the pattern. So the back of the heel should actually be right here, so the loop is at the back of the stocking. Oops, I'm not going back and redoing it. But I do have plans to make more stockings from this pattern, so I'm just gonna have to remember to basically make the same mistake with every single one of the stockings that I make. But I figure it's okay because when you hang it like on a fireplace or whatever, it'll just hang like this instead of from the heel. So it'll just be a slightly unconventional stocking. So this is for a knit along that she's doing, and it runs, I think it's going till October 15th, which if you get a chance, you should totally jump on this because this stocking, it's worsted weight, and it took me, I don't know, 3-4 days to finish. And I am not a fast colorwork knitter. It was I couldn't believe it. I could not believe how quickly this pattern went. It was really cool. And she does it kind of like, the way the pattern's laid out is kind of like a choose your own adventure. You can combine whatever you want to, because there's patterns for the foot part right here, like 6 to 8 of them. And then there's 6 to 8 patterns for this little band here, and another 6 to 8 patterns for this, all in one pattern. So you can totally mix and match however you want it to go. And I'm really excited because if I'm making one for like everyone in my family, that means that none of them are gonna look the same, but I can use the same really easy pattern. Hey. So this is Lion Brand Wool Ease, which is funny because I've said in previous podcasts that I've stopped enjoying using this yarn so much for accessories like scarves and hats and things like that. I think I'm getting a little more sensitive to yarn because I used to be completely fine using this. But it's actually pleasant to use for the color work. The stocking's very squishy and it feels very nice. And per Faye's suggestion, I used a 9-inch circular for these. And it's kind of funny because I have tried 9-inch circulars for regular socks and I do not like it. I feel like I'm knitting like this with my hands all stuck into the needle and like I can't maneuver my hands how I need to. It's just not pleasant for me to knit a normal sock on 9-inch circulars. But for some reason, for this and with color work, it was great. It was so fast and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough that it took me 3 days and I'm going to make a couple more. So, ta-da! That's number 1. Number 2 is the Roxy dress that I showed you guys in the last podcast. It has sleeves now, and obviously I have not blocked this because the hem is still rolling up. And so here's the thing. This dress, I talked about this last time. It has, oops, I'm blocking the light by my, there we go. I'll just hold it up not so close to the camera. It has a garter stitch border on both the bottom of the dress and on the sleeves. And it called for only like 3 garter ridges at the bottom of this whole big dress. And that rolled like crazy. And so what I did is I went back and I knit the sleeves, and I even added a couple extra garter ridges on the sleeves. So if you can see, I have to like hold it over here so you guys can see. Hang on, I'm gonna change where my camera is. Alright, I changed my setup a tad, so we'll see if this actually helps you guys to be able to see what I'm working on better. It might not. We'll see. So, yes, now you can see stuff. Awesome. So you can see on the sleeves, there's a little bit of a garter ridge, and I even added some to that. And so I was kind of playing yarn chicken. Once I finished the body of the dress, I had, I think maybe like 20 grams left or like 30 grams left out of 150 grams skein to do the sleeves and fix the hem. So I was a little bit nervous. I was like, what if I just spent all of this time knitting this crazy body of this dress and it's not even gonna work? But it did. So I did the sleeves, and then instead of unpicking the hem, I think, let me look. No, I did unpick the hem. I did undo the bind off. So I picked all of my stitches back up and I worked, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I worked like 3 or 4 extra ridges of garter stitch, so like 8 extra rounds. And guys, it still curls. I understand that you have to block things. I get that. But it still curls. So I'm not gonna lie, I am not 100% pleased with this dress like I thought it would. Maybe when I block it, it'll be different, but I don't know if you can see when I hold it up. It just flares whole lot. Like when I looked at the pattern, the way she had it laid out in the pattern, it looked more like you would increase the stitches under this little line and then it would just work straight down, which is kind of what I was expecting, like maybe at a looser needle gauge or something, so that it would just be flowy and loose. But instead what you do is you keep increasing out every so many rows as you go down the body of the dress. And because it's fingering weight yarn on US 2s, it's not a very drapey fabric. So I don't know. I'm gonna block it and see what happens, because maybe I'll like the fabric better after I block it. But I think if I knit this again, and I'm actually considering doing it, I think if I knit this again, I would just do the increases under the body part here, and then switch, like I said, switch to a larger needle and just knit straight down, so it would just be kind of flowy and straight and loose instead of being a line, I don't know what you call it, like a bell. It's like a bell. It's a very kind of stiff bell for a little girl. So it's not a bad pattern. It's just not what I was expecting it to be, if that makes sense. And I'm a little disappointed because I took so long to make this. Like, this was not, for a little baby project, this was not a fast project. So I guess I'm disappointed that I spent that much time and I came out with something that I'm not 100% pleased with. But at the same time, I'm also definitely not going to unravel it because it took so long. It took forever. So I am not going to, I'm done. I'm not going to touch it. The ends are woven. I mean, I'm going to block it. But other than that, I'm not going to touch it. I'm just going to leave it alone. It is what it is. Maybe I will make another one the way I want to do it. So, oh, coffee. Drinking coffee. Here's my little leaf mug that I usually drink coffee from. And it's just regular coffee. It's nothing fancy. It's just decaf with some creamer in it. Last FO. Oh, PS. I got sock blockers. I'm excited. So hopefully I will actually be able to, I have not tried these on socks. I have not tried socks on these. So hopefully these will actually work. Because I said last time, the last pair of these that I got were like, they were not this kind. They were a different kind of sock blockers. They were just the plastic ones. And the pair that claimed to be medium was very not medium. They were very much a small size. So I'm hoping, oh yes, this works very nicely. All right, so I'm gonna put my other sock on the other blocker while I ramble at you guys for a little bit. But I'm very excited that I'll actually be able to block my socks now, because the pair I'm going to show you are lace, and I apparently tend to knit lace socks, but not block them. So I end up on here not able to show you guys what things look like. But, okay, here is, dun, 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 dun. I'll put them on the other side of my face. Dun, 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 dun. These are my Call Me Ishmael socks. And these are knit with Fiber for the People. I think the colorway is Mariana's, like the Mariana Trench. And it's her MCN, her merino cashmere nylon base. So I'm going to use just one so you can actually see the detail. This is one of my patterns. Actually, that's kind of a bummer about the sock blockers. Let me take one of these off because I want you guys to be able to see the lace like it would look across the top of a foot. So, sock puppet time. All right. There you go, or upside down, I guess. There you go. Sock puppets. That's how I show off socks, apparently. So you've got little whale tails. And I made these really tall because I wanted to basically be able to get as much out of the yarn as I could. And I'm not sure how much I have left. I want to say I have between 25 and 30 grams left. And this is a tall sock. Like, you can see how high it comes up on the sock blocker. It's a very tall sock. And I wear a US women's 8.5. So it's not like, it's not massive, it's just, it's a tall sock. It could be shorter. The first sample I made of these for the actual pattern, I made them ankle socks, which I loved, and I love them tall too. So I'm really, really happy that I can wear them both ways or knit them up both ways and it looks good, because that, I don't know, that makes a good sock pattern to me if it's versatile. So these are, I guess I should explain what I actually made. These are toe-up socks with an afterthought, or no, not afterthought. It's a short row heel. Just a regular one, not like Fish Lips Kiss or anything, just a regular afterthought heel. And some 1x1 ribbing at the top. And then the bind off, which I use this for pretty much all of my stretchy bind offs, like gloves or socks or anything, is Elizabeth Zimmerman's Better Bind Off. It's a sewn bind off, so you actually do have to cut the yarn and thread it through a tapestry needle and, you know, sew the stitches closed. But it's very nice and stretchy. I like that it's stretchy. I like how it looks. So you can see the cuff will sort of bend down, but look at that stretch. It stretches almost wider than the body of the sock. So that's, I really like it. I pretty much use it for everything. So that's it for finished objects. I've been working on a lot of things as usual, and as usual I have lots of whips and not too many FOs. That's okay. So whips, I have, this is a new pattern that I'm working on. That is not anywhere near testing yet, but that's okay. It's a pretty big shawl. And the last time I showed it to you, I think I was just at this stripy section here. So I've added some more texture. Ta-da! So right now, measured it out. Right now it's this big. There you go. It's this big without blocking it yet. So this might be a rather large shawl. We shall see. But this is, it's not named yet. It's a pattern I'm working on. Ta-da! You guys got to see it. With Knit Picks Preciosa fingering weight. Gray and yellow. There it is in the skeins. Ta-da! Ooh, just found my scissors. That's exciting. I've been looking for those because I have a pair of socks that you will see in a minute that I need my little sharp scissors to do afterthought heels on, and I couldn't find them. And I was going to improvise with a pair of not very sharp scissors. Oh, speaking of sharp, I don't remember if I talked about this last time, but let's talk about knitting needles for a second, because I've been using forever the Knit Picks interchangeable nickel-plated ones, and I got them probably 6 to 8 years ago, I want to say, and they were nice. They were sharp. They were everything I wanted in a knitting needle, you know, my knitting needle soulmate. So I think I've lost a couple tips, and I just really liked them, so I figured it was time to get more. I think I did talk about this last time. That's okay. I'm gonna blame it on baby brain, and you guys are just gonna get my spiel again, because now it's an extended spiel. And I got the new ones, and they're just not very sharp. They're kind of, if you can see that, look, it's like blunt. It's a rounded tip. It's not a sharp needle. And I got them, and I was like, well, what the heck is this? Where did I've lost my soulmate. Where did my sharp needles go? This is very disappointing. So I am still using them. And the blunted needles aren't terrible for things like this, where it's a single ply yarn and there's no like plies to have to pick up. There's no worry about whether I get all of the plies or not, because it's a single ply yarn. So they're fine for things like this. And I'm actually using them on another whip that I will show you in a minute. But overall, I'm bummed about that. I'm actually displeased, because what the heck, Knit Picks? Why did you blunt my knitting needles? Not cool. But on the other end of the spectrum, here is another whip that I'm working on. And look, it's so tiny. You probably can't even see it yet because look, just a little bit of ribbing, nothing too crazy. This is a test knit for Triona Murphy of Triona Designs. And I don't test knit too often, but if something really strikes my fancy, I'm like, yes, please, I would like to test those. So this is gonna be a little pair of toddler-sized Colorwork mittens. And she's already given me the okay. She said it's fine if I share them on the podcast and on Instagram and everything. So you'll be seeing them around. But these, I got two pairs actually of Hiya Sharps. So you want to talk about sharp needles. Look at the points on those things. Super sharp, super pokey, and I think they might actually be a little too pokey for me. So I've got the Knit Picks ones that are blunt, and I've got these ones that are too pokey for most things. This is actually, so the yarn I'm knitting this in, I'll take the one that's not currently attached. This is Indigo Dragonfly. What is this colorway? She has like nerdy colorway names, which is kind of fun. I believe this one is called Kaylee the Jewel Sate. And this one, I think, is called Daleks Don't Give Pink Slips, which I think is funny. But this is a very high twist yarn, so it's a little bit less soft than what I'm used to working with, but it does okay with the Hiya, which is kind of funny because I will show you. I'm also working on, this is a new sock design that I'm working on. Ta-da! Just some nice little cables I'm trying to get my yarn free, that's why I'm tugging stuff. In Yarn Cafe Creations, what is it? Fluffy Sock Fingering Weight. So this is a light fingering weight, and it's got a lower twist. So if you look, let's see if I can find this to hold. Let's see if you can see that. Okay, so it's not super twisty. Like you can see it's pretty, if I wiggle it a little bit, it's not super twisty. But this one, the Indigo Dragonfly one, is very twisty. And it doesn't really come open as easily. It's a higher twist yarn. So it's a little bit, I guess the plies don't separate as easily. So I'm doing okay using the Hiya with this yarn because it's not splitting the plies. But on this one, oh my goodness. I started these on the Hiya and I had to switch to my Chow-Goo needles because I could not stand it. I like knitting socks. I enjoy designing socks. I like fingering weight. I like magic looping. I like cables. I was having a miserable time using the Hiya on this. It was just not a good time. So apparently I am the Goldilocks of knitting needles because the Knit Picks are too blunt and the Hiya are too sharp and my Chow-Goos are just right. So these are my Mama Bear needles. I use them pretty much every time I knit socks. And yeah, Goldilocks of knitting needles. So yeah, new sock pattern in progress. That was my little rant about knitting needles. I'm sure you'll hear it again. It bothers me. I tried to try new things. I'm so whiny. I tried to try new things and I didn't like it, so I'm going back to what I was using, which is the Chow-Goos. Oh, something else fun. So this kind of falls into new acquisitions, but I'm going to show you now anyway because I don't really have a whole lot of new acquisitions. Where to go? I'm trying to dig. I have all of this stuff in a little teeny tiny sock knitting bag. So there is a Etsy shop called Creating with Sticks, and I think she used to maybe sell hand knitted stuff or hand crocheted stuff, but right now she basically just has stitch markers in there. And I needed some stitch markers and I didn't want anything crazy. So I got There's this little tin. It looks like when people home make lip balm, like they make lip balm, just a little tin. And it's a twist off, which is awesome because it can't get yanked open. So I just got from her a bunch of the little safety pin pear-shaped ones. Yeah, just little, you know, they're gold. It was cheap, little whatever, you know. And then I'm not a cat person, disclaimer, but it says Knit and Kitten. It's a little slidey doohicker. I'm gonna slide it the wrong way. Yeah, little slidey guy. And inside it has a whole bunch of kitty cat stitch markers for large circumference needles. So I think she said this fits up to a US 17. But I did not buy them for them to be stitch markers because I am cheap. And for color work, I've found that I like having both colors kind of on two different fingers. So I have both colors in the same hand. And I know there's such a thing as color work knitting rings, which some of them look like just a spring that goes on your finger with one loop on one side and one loop on the other side, so you can hold both colors on the same hand. And I went on Etsy to look for one, and there was a lady charging like 40 bucks into a hand hammered ring, and I was like, you know, that is beautiful, but I do not have $40 to spend just on a ring for color work. But it's a convenience tool. It's not a necessity, it's a convenience. No, thank you. But look, if I thread my yarn through the kitty cat ears, it is just big enough to sit on the tip of my finger. So the only downside to this is that I'm going to have to thread this. You have to thread the color through before you start knitting, because there are no openings in the sides of the cat ears like there would be in a normal color work ring. But I don't care, because I got like 12 of these for $7 or something like that instead of $40 for one ring. So I thought I would pass on my good fortune to a couple people. If you knit color work and you would like a little kitty cat ring to stick / stitch marker to stick on the edge of your finger for doing two color work, drop me a comment, I guess. Just drop me a comment and tell me, I guess tell me if you already knit color work this way, or if you just want to try it and you never had. And I have a bunch of these in here. I will pick, I guess, 4 people on the next podcast. I'll pick 4 people and send you out a little kitty cat ring and a couple little stitch markers and maybe a little something else. Just because I love you guys and this was an awesome find and I don't need 12 of them. So I figured I would pass on my good Etsy find and help a couple of you guys out. So that is that. Oh, and this is where I usually keep the rest of my stitch markers. This is just a little Minton. It's from my niece's. It was like a birthday favor from my niece's birthday, and it still latches pretty well. It's kind of just like an Altoid tin, but I keep my little truffle shuffle animals and all my other little stitch markers. I don't have that many. It's just, you know, a couple of them, tapestry needles, but it snaps really nicely. Like my kids can play with this and they shake it all around and it doesn't dump over anything, which is awesome. Because if you have little kids, you know, it's crazy. So let's see, whips. Sweaters. Haha. And yes, more than one. There is more than just one sweater, because like I need to be knitting 2 sweaters at the same time, right? Of course. Crazy pants. In the big Harry Potter bag, as last time, this is my Row sweater by Michelle. I'm just going to call you Michelle because I don't want to pronounce it wrong. And of course I'm not quite finished with the row, or I just started one. That's okay. So the last time I had just the back done and part of the left front. So you guys are gonna get to see the belly, congratulations. now I have, now I have all of the left front done. I don't know if you can see, it's like all the way, it's long. This is meant to be sort of like a coat. So here's like my hip level because, you know, belly, hip, and it still has another couple of inches. So I'm really pleased with how this is going to fit. That's where the arm is, so it is drapey like a coat. So I have now the back done, the left front, and the right, I think I'm about to split for the underarm. So I'm pleased. I'm pleased with the progress. Yeah, I really like this sweater. This is gonna be, I'm really excited to have this one to wear it. I like making it, but I'm very, very excited to have it to wear it. And I'm still debating, I think I'm gonna add pockets because a big comfy sweater coat with a shawl collar, I don't know, I just feel like it needs pockets. It just seems like a pocket kind of thing to me. So I will probably add that on. And then, like I said, because I just apparently have my crazy pants on lately, I decided to cast on another sweater for myself. And this is the part where you find out that Ruth does not read directions very well. So, funny story time, just for a minute. Last podcast, I said I was gonna cast on Lemongrass by Joji Locatelli for her fall knit along. And so I cast it on, and I don't know, I don't remember if I cast it on or if I was swatching or something. And I had worsted to Aran weight yarn, like a heavy worsted weight yarn, which is what the pattern calls for. And I swatched and I got gauge. Oh, no, I didn't swatch because I was being terrible. I didn't swatch and I just cast it on and I started working and I was like, this looks funny. This does not look right. This does not look like what the pattern is supposed to be. And to get the right gauge, it was just way looser of a stitch than I wanted. So I was like, whatever. I'll cast on the other one I had been looking at. So I cast on Recoletta. I think that's how you say it. Recoletta, whatever. Anyway, so I've got, this is gonna be like the collar around the neck. Obviously, I have not gotten very far. I've just started increasing for the shoulders. So I cast this one on and I think the pattern calls for size 6 needles and a heavy worsted yarn. And these are size 9s. And I was like, man, because I did swatch this time. I was like, I learned my lesson. I'm going to swatch. I swatched and I needed size 9 needles. And I was like, I'm not that tight of a knitter. What the heck is going on? I don't understand. But I was like, I'm gonna trust the gauge. I'm gonna trust the pattern. He knows what she's doing. I'm just gonna follow the pattern. And at some point, I think I posted up in the chatter thread and was like, hey guys, does anyone else have a weird gauge for these? Like, does Joji knit really loose and I knit really tight or something like that? And one of the other girls looked at my pattern page and she was like, well, you know, the yarn the pattern calls for is supposed to be 173 yards per 100 grams. And your yarn is 273 yards per 100 grams. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And it also explains, it explains so many things. It explains why the lemongrass was not working and why it looked so loose. Because apparently in my yarn reading skills, I thought I had a perfect match. I thought I had matched it perfectly, like the pattern calls for 173 yards per 100 grams, and mine is 173 yards per 100 grams. No, Ruth, read the label. Mine is 273 yards. So I literally have yarn that is almost, it's almost half as thick as it's supposed to be. Well, not quite, but I mean, it's significantly thinner than it's supposed to be. So it works, and I'm actually really happy with the fabric I'm getting. I don't think I would want it to be heavier or denser than this, but I mean, learn from me, kids. Read the darn yarn label and read it correctly so you don't end up with silliness. So I decided for this, because I'm still hoping to get this done either before I have this baby in early December, or even if it's going to be afterwards, I want to have a sweater that has enough overlapping space. And even though this is made for a little bit of positive ease, it's not made for very much. And the sweater fronts in the picture meet, but don't overlap too much. And I would like a couple inches of overlap. So I modified the chart for the collar. I'm showing you the back of this. I modified the chart for the collar so that instead of ending here, it ends here. So it's gonna give me, it's like 4 fingers. It's like 2 inches. It's gonna give me like 2 extra inches on each side. So hopefully it'll give me just a little bit of extra space to overlap the fronts of the cardigan so I can be more comfortable either with a gigantic pregnant belly or right after I have the baby, which of course right after you have a baby, you want to be very comfortable anyway. So that is my plan. Recoletta with a wider collar. Oh, and the other thing I'm going to do is once I split for the sleeves, once I, it's top down, it's a top down raglan style. So once I split for the sleeves, I'm gonna work the whole sleeve first. Well, both sleeves first. But I'm gonna work the sleeves so that way I can lengthen the cardigan too, because I think I have enough yarn. I'm pretty sure the pattern calls for like 1350 or 1400 yards, and I have like 1800 yards. So I think even with widening the collar, I should have enough yardage that I can extend the length a little bit, but obviously I'm gonna knit the sleeves first, so I'm not playing yarn chicken with the sleeves, and then I'll just knit the length until I run out of yarn or until I'm happy with it. So this might end up being, I'm hoping I can get it long enough basically to cover my rear end and wear it comfortably. Yeah, that's my plan. So we'll see. This is actually a really fast pattern for what it is, because it has this big lace panel going across the neck, like a big collar, like a shawl collar almost. And then it has the same pattern going down the back, but the charts don't match up. So if you're on like row 10 on the collar, you might be on like row 18 on the back, and they don't match up, and the stitches don't match up. So you have to pay attention to what you're doing, which is the same for the rose sweater too. The rose sweater, when you're working the back of it, you're actually working from 3 charts at once. So it's like, but those, I guess, well, I don't know. No, they don't match up either. You just kind of have to pay attention to what you're doing. So it's like knit 1 row of row chart. I had 3 papers and they were like stacked on each other. I was like, knit 1 row, shuffle, knit 1 row, shuffle, knit 1. So that's part of why these are taking me a little bit of time, because it's not like a stockinette sweater where you can just be like, divide for the sleeves, knit straight down, ta-da, I made a sweater. It's like, read 3 charts at once, make sure you're increasing in the correct spot, and make sure that you're, you know, doing this slightly non-intuitive lace pattern. And yeah, but don't let that put you off. It's a really fun pattern and I am really enjoying it. I just have to only knit it when I can sit down and focus. So like if I'm watching TV at night, I could probably knit it, but is it the best life decision to knit semi-complex lace in the dark? Maybe not. Better not. So, points for you if you caught that. This is my brain. Sometimes I think maybe I should knit lace in the dark. Better not. Anyway, what else am I working on? Oh, total tiny little tangent, real quick. I wanted to show you guys my swatches from the Minton's test knit that I showed you, because this yarn is superwash and it grew so much. Like, everybody knows that superwash grows when you block it, right? Like, you put it in the water and it blooms, it grows really big. But sorry, I'm watching a countdown. I'm watching to see like how much space I have left on my camera. This one grew like crazy. This was like half the width that it is now, and it grew so big. It's just ridiculous. So this is what the fabric looks like. This was on US 3s, which is what the pattern calls for. And this is what it looks like on US 2s, which meets the gauge that the pattern calls for. So obviously I went down in needle size, but my lesson to you guys, block your swatches, because this one that's way too big was, I think the pattern calls for like 34 stitches and 36 rows or something like that to 4 inches. And this one was somewhere around 40 stitches and 44 rows to 4 inches. So if I had not blocked this, I would have actually gone up a needle size to a size 4, when in reality I needed to go down to a size 2. But I would not have known that if I had not blocked my swatches. Ta-da! See, I learn. I do things that I tell you guys to do. Awesome. Go figure. What else am I working on? Oh, okay. So, sort of design stuff. I was not podcasting a year ago, but if any of you guys follow me on either Facebook or Instagram, you would have seen from last year, see if I can get these on, these big crocodile stitch crocheted, I don't know what you call them, like a gauntlet, a fingerless glove. So I actually made these last year, and they were my husband's idea. I really like them. He was like, "Oh, it looks like chainmail. Why do you know how everyone was wearing those dragon gloves, the ones with the, like the pattern that I made, the dragon heart, in my pattern they're called dragon heart mitts with the scales that go the other direction, and everyone was super into crocodile stitch." Well, my husband, because he's awesome, was like, "Hey, why don't you make gauntlets? Like, people could wear them for Comic-Con or Halloween, or just because they want to be awesome." I was like, good plan. So I made the pattern up, and I had people start testing it, and it was one of those things where in reality probably all that I need to do is tweak a little bit of phrasing in the pattern and it'll be ready for me to publish. Sometimes you just don't, I don't know, you know how you have to read certain books at the right time, and if it's just not the right time to read that book, it's not the right time to read it, and that's just how life works. I think that's how it was for this pattern too. It just wasn't the right time to get them out. My brain was not fixing the little problems that needed to be fixed. So I am in the process of, I printed out my own pattern and I am, see if I can do this without pulling my stitches out. I'm reworking them. This is Dragon Horde yarn in her Mother Knows Best colorway. And I know that variegated yarn isn't the best for a pattern like this, but it fits the yardage that I was using for these. And I didn't want to order more, I just wanted to use from stash what I had. So I'm literally you can see I'm about up to here. I'm redoing my own pattern, like I'm following my pattern through, and then everything was fine up to here. It was just something about the hand, like I phrased it funny and it didn't make sense, I guess, the way I phrased it. So I'm gonna go through and edit and send it to a tech editor, and hopefully we can get the phrasing ironed out, because I really want to get these published for you guys because I love them. So I have, here's my women's size, but I also have them in a men's size and in a, this is either, forgive my ends, This is either like a tiny women's size, like it fits my mommy, who is 5 foot even and has very tiny, sorry mom, you're probably watching this. She has like child size hands. I love you. I love that you have small hands that I can knit things for very quickly, and small feet that I can knit. Okay, anyway, my mom has small hands and she tried these on in this fit. So this would be for either like a women's extra small or maybe like a 10-year-old. And then these ones aren't 100% finished, but they're at least up to the thumb. There's little tiny ones that fit my 4-year-old. So I'm hoping once I get all of these issues ironed out that I will be able to have a toddler size, a child size, women's and men's. So they would fit the whole family, which would be like, look at this stack. They're so, I really like them. And I think my brain just needed to take a break from them for a while because now I want to work on them again and now I'm into them again and I really enjoy them. So hopefully that will get done soon too. I'm doing this without notes today because I made notes and then I don't know where they are. They're somewhere. I don't know. Oh, okay, so looking at things in front of me. Acquisitions, besides my little stitch markers. I only have one thing to show you guys today, which is not because I've been a saint and not bought yarn. It's just because it's not here yet. But what is here is some fiber for spinning. Look at that. He's so pretty. I'm gonna undo it. So you've got light gray, light yellow, blue, green, cream. These aren't really colors that I would normally work with. But Leandra from Created by LCB is doing a spin along that starts today. And this was the colorway that she offered. And I'm a sucker for knit along, crochet along, spin along, anything along. So I was like, yes, I want to do this too. All the cool kids are doing a spin along, I want to do it. And this is the colorway that she offered. So this is 4 ounces of Rambouillet, and it is in Carnations and Daisies. And there's her card. So the spin along starts today, and I basically have to figure out how I want to spin this. I might spin it on a wheel, I might not. I really like Rambouillet. I don't know if you guys can see this, but Rambouillet is very grippy. So you could spin this pretty fine and it would come out like it's bouncy. Even spread out, like you can see, it's holding on to itself because it's so grippy. So usually with Rambouillet or Polworth or something like that, I like to spin a finer yarn, but because there's only a month to finish, I'm not sure what I want to do. I'm thinking I might go for more of a sport weight single ply, because usually I do plied yarns, and I've been really enjoying knitting my shawl with the single ply, and yeah, I just really like the colors. I like how the colors transition. I like how they look next to each other. And the one thing I wanted to say, look at her braid. I really like this. All of her, I think all of them that I've gotten do this. She dyes them like in half. So if I wanted to, I could literally split it in the middle here, spin one side, spin the other side, and ply them, and it would be a matching 2-ply. And I really love that her fibers do this, because I do 2-ply things a lot. Or, here's the other cool way that I've done it. You can spin the entire braid from one end to the other, and then just ply from the inside and outside of a center ply ball, and it'll give you a matching 2-ply. So I'm either gonna do that, or I'm going to just do a single, and we'll see what happens, because I've been enjoying singles. So yeah, created by LCB Spin-Along. I think she was only selling the colors before the Spin-Along started. I don't know if she's still selling fiber for it. So sorry if I'm teasing you guys with something that you like. You can't get it. But the card does say that it's repeatable. So hopefully that means that she'll be offering it again if you like this colorway and didn't get in on the Spin-Along. So I'm getting all nervous. I have a big announcement for you guys, and you can see I'm happy, but I'm really nervous too, because I feel like I'm showing you a new baby. It's like when I'm even more excited than when I show you guys a new design. I can't even handle it. I have started dyeing yarn, and I'm dyeing yarn to sell as a business. And it's something that I've literally wanted to do for years, and I'm finally doing it. And I'm so nervous, but I'm so excited. And I get to have a shop update section of this podcast now. And so I'm gonna show you guys the colorways that I've dyed that are gonna be in the shop tomorrow, which would help if I knew the date, wouldn't it? Tomorrow, whatever, 19th, 16th, whatever, of September at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm gonna activate the shop listings. So, excuse the crinkle, I have them all sitting in a bag next to me. And I have to get them out. I'm so excited to show you guys. All right, so my first colorway is, what did I decide to call this? Crunchy Leaf. Look at that. And I have 3 of these, and I'm gonna undo one of them so you can see it. And I hope it's not the messy skein. There were a couple of these that I did not tie as securely as I should have, and they will be reskeined before they go out to anybody, because I do not want anybody getting a messy skein of yarn from me. So this has green and brown and some goldish orange and some speckles in there, and a lighter brown, and I love it. I called it Crunchy Leaf because it reminds me of crunchy leaves when you walk down the sidewalk and you step on the leaves, just kind of right at the beginning of fall, which is why I left the green in there, because it reminds me of the beginning of fall when there's still some leaves on the tree, but there's some leaves that are fallen, and so it's Crunchy Leaf. Look at those speckles. That's the first one. And number 2, oops, I gotta put my little naming tag back in here. I'm so excited. Number 2 is, this is called Graffiti Zebra, because it reminds me of if someone like did graffiti on a zebra, because I'm a nerd. So this one, I have to open this up and show you, and I'm probably going to open up another skein too, because the funny thing about dyeing yarn is that even though they're in the same pan or pot together, I have 3 skeins of this and they are all a little bit different. So look at this. This one has portions of black and portions of white with color on it. So there's that bright like turquoise blue and yellowish and brownish and pinkish and green, and I put so many colors on this one. And there's also, I love this, there's like transition points where you can see just some solid color blended in with the black. Look at that, look at that. It's so cool. And bluish purple, and look at that. Some of the colors, there you go, with the black over it are darker. They're so cool. So, Graffiti Zebra, and I'm just gonna show you the other 2 skeins from the outside because I love the speckles on this one. Like, the speckles are killer on this yarn. Look at the speckles on this one. Look, look, look. They're all together. These are just ties that I use to, you know, keep the skeins from tangling while I'm dyeing. But look. Oh, they're so cool. They're so cool. And then of course, to look on the inside. Look at that. Look at that with the speckles everywhere. There's so many speckles. Look at that. Okay. It's number 2. You guys are I'm sure you guys are gonna be sick of this. I'm sorry. I can't help it. They're so pretty. Look. Look, look. I love this part. The dark transitioning into the black and the darker colors and the speckles. So there's 3 of these. Oh, I should mention sock bases. I started off with 2 sock bases, and I guess I had Goldilocks on the brain from the knitting needles because I called them, this is my baby bear sock. So this one is very lightweight and it's kind of fluffy and soft and it's thin. It's my baby bear sock because it's a higher yardage. It's 462 yards per 100 grams. Superwash, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So pretty. So pretty. Look at that. See what I mean? They're like fraternal twins. They're similar, but they're different. And I love them. So that's my baby bear base. And then I will show you this next one that I dyed on both of my bases. So this next one, I hope you guys have a sense of humor like I do. Look at these bright colors. This one is called Hand Me My Scrunchie because it reminds me of the 80s windbreakers, like everybody wearing the jogging suits with the big the colors on them, all of these colors. So this one is called Hand Me My Scrunchie because it made me laugh out loud when the thought came into my head, so that's what I'm naming it. And this one is on my baby bear base, my baby bear sock. And you can see it's yellow and green and blue and pink and purple with some speckles. And it's bright. Look at that bright yellow in there. This is why I love opening it up. Pink, blue, and a little bit of mixed yellow with green speckles down here. So this is my baby bear base. And then this is my Papa Bear base because it's thicker and it's heavier and it's a higher twist. So where baby bear is lightweight and it's higher yardage, this one is a little bit heavier. This is almost like sport weight. It is 357 yards and you can see it's a higher twist. So it's a little more sturdy. It's a little bit less fluffy, but it's really, this would make really good socks. This would be the socks, these would be the socks that don't fall apart, where you don't have to, you know, you don't have to darn very quickly. So, oh, and this is cool too. Look at the difference in how they take the color. You can see it. They're similar, but they're not exactly the same. And this one they look pretty close to each other, but the next color I'm gonna show you, I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. They were in the same dye pot and they look not completely different, but just, I don't know. I'll show you. I'll show you. So that's Hand Me My Scrunchie on Papa Bear and Baby Bear. So my next colorway, this is where you'll see the difference. Look at these 2 skeins. Same dye pot, but they took up the dye so differently. So this yarn is called Turkey Tail because you know, like those little handprint turkeys you make where it's like, here's the head of the turkey and then you stick the construction paper feathers on, so it's like a handprint turkey. So this one is, oh, I should call it handprint turkey instead of turkey tail. Genius. I haven't put up the listings yet. So this one is probably going to be called handprint turkey instead of turkey tail. either way. So on the baby bear base, you can see there's more brown in there, and there's like maybe one or two lighter spots, but it's mostly deep red and kind of this nice brown, and I like that section where it's blended together. And then on my Papa Bear base, it's got some more yellows in it, like gold, and I don't know. It reminds me of Thanksgiving. This skein looks like Thanksgiving to me, and I love it. So it's got some gold. The colors are more pronounced instead of blended on Papa Bear. So the Baby Bear one, the colors tend to blend together a little bit more, and on the Papa Bear one, they kind of stay where they don't blend as much. They're more distinct. So this is either going to be turkey tail or handprint turkey. You'll find out when I update the shop. Look how different those are. That kills me. And they are killer. I would use them in both. I would use them in both bases. Like there isn't, I just like them. Whoever is going to have these, I hope you love them and treat my yarn babies nicely. Sorry, I'm a weirdo, apparently. The next colorway is Unicorn Tail, because it's so fluffy I'm gonna die. And once again, here it is on Baby Bear, and it's pink and purple with some blue speckles, and I love it. So there's some light pink. There's only a little bit of light pink. This is like very pale pink and pink and purple mixed together, and some blue. And then on Papa Bear, like I said with the last one, the colors separate a little bit more. So they're a little bit more distinct. And there you can see them. So, Unicorn Tail on Baby Bear and Papa Bear. And my last one, I saved my favorite for last, because even though I shouldn't have favorites, I totally do. It's like having a favorite child, and I feel like a bad mother, but there it is. This one is called Jungle Sunset, and it is just the coolest thing I have made so far. I'm gonna open up both the skeins and show you. So this is on Baby Bear. Look at those colors. It's like, this isn't even showing you as well. You'll have to look at the pictures in the shop update tomorrow, because you're only seeing like half of the colors when I sit it here like this. But there's, look at that, there's like turquoise blue, and there's some red and green, brown. It's and like chestnut with red in it, and more blue and green. And oh, here, look, here's a little spot that has a little bit of yellowy in there. Oh my goodness, it kills me. And you wouldn't think that these colors would go together, because everybody says to me, look at that, look how pretty it is. That is more accurate. That is much more accurate. Awesome. I'm glad that you can see this on the camera. Everybody always says when you're dyeing, like, don't mix red and brown or red and green or whatever. You're gonna end up with this nasty muddy yarn and nobody's gonna like the color. Well, okay, but I really like this, and it's really pretty. And look, it's just like everywhere you look there's another color and there's another kind of facet of it. And if I hadn't run out of Mordant, I would have made like 12 more skeins of this, because I just love it so much. But it's probably good that I didn't, because then I would have kept all of them, and I'm trying to run a business. Look at that. Yellow and chestnut, and like, not, it's gonna sound cocky. In real life it looks like a skein of Malabrigo. It really does. Like how Malabrigo has that like tonal and all the colors sort of just meshing together, and look, it's what it looks like to me. And I felt so proud of myself. I was like, look, it looks like Malabrigo and I dyed it. What are the odds? So that is Jungle Sunset on Baby Bear. And then look at it on Papa Bear. Again, more distinct colors. So you've got green and blue. Oh, here, I'm going to open this one up too, so you can see all the pretty colors. So this one you can see more distinctly the reds. Maybe I should do the twisty thing like I did for the other one. Yeah, there you go. I don't know why. Something about twisting it together apparently makes it show up better on this camera. So you can see the greens and browns and reds. And I just love it. I do. So pretty. So that is what I have for the shop update for tomorrow. So like I said, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, Saturday the 19th of September, I will be putting these into the Etsy shop, and I hope that you guys love them and take them to live in your home and make wonderful things out of them, because I love them and they are beautiful. So if you are still here after listening to me ramble about yarn for God knows how long, thank you for watching. Yeah. Oh, because I'm a nerd. I wanted to talk about a book I'm reading real quick. Look. It's really battered. This is Don't Reflect, The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, because this is my husband's favorite book. It's his favorite series, and he has been asking me to read them for 8 years, and I'm terrible. But I'm reading it, and I'm about 458 pages in, and I'm really enjoying it. Not surprising, because he has great taste in books. I just kind of like the dragon glove pattern. It had to be the right time for me to read it. So I'm reading this in my spare time. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And ta-da, that's it. Okay, now I'm done. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope to see you guys again in a couple of weeks. Oh no, I'm not done. Gosh, guys, it's like the Lord of the Rings. It's like the 3 endings, where the Lord of the Rings has like 3 endings and you think you're done, but you're not, and there's another scene of it, and then... Okay, anyway. I'm considering going to weekly podcasts, and I want to know from you guys, do you prefer to watch one longer podcast every 2 weeks? I'm assuming this is I don't know, because I had to take like 3 different videos. I'm assuming this is going to be around an hour long. Would you rather watch a 1 hour-ish podcast every 2 weeks, or maybe a 30 to 45 minute podcast once a week? I'm not sure if it's feasible yet, but I would like to know from you guys. So if you can just drop me a comment and tell me what you prefer, I'd love to know. Because if I'm just going to overwhelm you with all of my craziness once a week, and you're like, enough, Ruth, stop, we can't take it, we can only watch you twice a month, and okay, I'll just do it twice a month. But if you're interested and you'd like to see more, let me know. So thank you for watching. I'm really done. This is the real end now. All the hobbits are back and we're all off to the Grey Havens. I will see you next time. Bye.